And we're back.
Welcome to No Direction Beyond, your source for Starfinder's news, reviews, and interviews. I'm Alexander Agunas, No Direction's everyman gamer, and I'm joined, as always, by the most intrepid Starfinders this side of the galaxy.
Hi, my name is James, and I used to write Code Switch.
Hi, my name's Dustin, and I write Fox's Cunning.
And now that we're here, we're back. We have a drought has been hitting us for a very long time here in the Starfinder corner of space. We have had like no new product announcements for like literally a year, and PaizoCon didn't deliver. But someone must have prayed extra hard at the week leading up to GenCon because the rains have fallen and the new products are here for us to talk about. Finally.
Yay.
Yay.
Yeah, and as all of you know, it's very hard to do a news show without news to talk about. So we're going to definitely do some of that there news today.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of cool products that were announced at GenCon. Obviously, some of them were for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. And if you want to hear about those, No Direction did a great breakdown with all of the Pathfinder news, but we're not going to be talking about it here. Vanessa and an extremely charming, handsome guest host did the entire breakdown. So make sure you go check out that episode if you want to hear about Pathfinder. Today, we only talk about the future. So we have a lot of cool stuff to talk about it, and I'm going to turn it over to my co-host, Dustin. Dustin, tell me, what do you want to start with? What should we talk about?
Oh, man, what should we talk about? Well, the first thing that I noticed got the most hype all over Discord and all the other communities I'm in was actually Ports of Call.
Yes, Ports of Call. It's going to be, I believe, May 2023, right? Is the official announced date so far?
That sounds about right to me.
I really like that date because typically there is not a new book that releases at PaizoCon, and that will release at PaizoCon. Pretty cool. I like that. Which means Starfinder book gets the golden carpet as it like comes down. It's like, oh, look at me, I'm the Starfinder book. So Ports of Call is going to be a book that is very similar to Drift Crisis in that it is a Starfinder hardcover length book, about 256 pages, and it is going to have content that is all about a one specific region, right? It's this port called, it's like ports in the Pack Worlds.
Correct.
We don't know a whole lot about it from what I've seen so far, but we do know the most important bit of information of all, and that's one of the ports.
Yes.
Has something that I'm very excited about. Gallerian World. James, when you hear Gallerian World, what do you think of?
I think it's like naming a place Earth. It's a little bit weird, but I get it.
Earth planet. Let's do it. Dirt world. Let's do it. So the idea is that Gallerian World, essentially someone was like, wow, we have this entire planet missing, like and our entire population of humans on this little spaceship that goes around the sun is very much kind of stranded and without a home. So obviously, because the Pack Worlds is a wonderful paradise that would never think to capitalize on the shared trauma and suffering of an entire species, of course they would never do something so insensitive like opening an entire theme park based around what is left of their culture, right? That's not something that we would do.
Of course not. That would be totally
I feel like that's
wrong.
A thing that we do like now. Like, what's Colonial Williamsburg?
Okay.
Fair. Okay. So essentially, like from what we've seen of the art, we're going to get a look at a place called Gallerian World in Ports of Call, which is essentially an amusement park themed around Lost Gallerian. And honestly, I think that, now I don't want to speak for Dustin or James, you guys can tell me if you agree. I think this is something that Starfinder has needed for a very long time in terms of its world building.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ideas of what is in a port. I keep saying port, but there's more than just a port in a port.
Mm-hmm.
But you go to this planet, this is the planet's port, and it's a port, and you just copy something from Absalom Station. Mm-hmm. So giving some more variety helps build out what you'd expect to see in different different sectors, different planets. So it definitely helps with world building, and I'm sure there'll be player options linked to those things too, as there always tends to be.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to look like Drift Crisis. We also know that Ports of Call features 20 different ports. We also know that, like, from one of the pieces of art, there was actually an art of some, like, poor cast member dressed up like Abigail Thrune and like running around and being like essentially Disney World, but like you're Thrune, which is kind of great. I kind of want to know like what the Hell Knights think about it, because the Hell Knights still exist in Starfinder. Like, do they see this as an appropriation of their way of life, or are the Hell Knights secretly profiting off of it and trying to spread pro Hell Knight propaganda using Abigail Thrune? I kind of like it. I'm not gonna lie.
Right. I mean,
yeah. I mean, it would be good to get any sort of old world, new world influence. Like, what does Aslant do?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, the first time I saw this, I wasn't watching the panel. I couldn't at that moment, but somebody sent me this picture of this Conrasu, and I didn't see the Starfinder logo on the panel, and I thought for a minute that like we were getting maybe like a high-tech guide for Pathfinder, because I saw the technology on this guy, and then when I heard it was Gallerian World, I'm like, oh man, that's awesome. And I am glad to see that there's going to be even some 2E influences in this as well, like the Conrasu.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's going to be very exciting. And honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if the bestiary includes some like fan favorite Gallerian species that haven't been updated to Starfinder yet, because there are a ton. And I mean, that's not even including the 5 that were only released in a trading card game deck. All right, calling it a trading card game is a little bit much, because that implies the cards are meant to be swapped. But
I will trade you all my cards for your extra Kitsune cards if you're watching this. Come on, let's do this.
I have no extra Kitsune, but I will point you at Archives of Nethys and say you can go read it there. But yeah, I would like to see Conrasu and some other stuff brought into Starfinder. I feel like that would be really interesting, because like in some ways it's almost like a backwards port, because you're talking about taking something that uses Paizo's shiny 2E mechanics, and it's like, but what if we did that in the 3.5 system via Starfinder? Like I'm very curious. I kind of want to see that. So fingers crossed that art is a clue that we will get a Conrasu as like a species in the book, kind of like how Drift Worlds had a whole bunch of like monsters and stuff.
Yeah, hopefully, like also more like fantasy, like griffins and stuff like that. Like just your standard like unicorn. Well, there's unicorn stat blocks, but you know, other unicorns and not that one.
Right. So what other news? What other new releases or news from GenCon did you find interesting, Alex?
Well, I think that for one, I know this isn't new, because we knew about Starfinder Adventures Drift Crisis Cases was going to happen. We've known about it for a while, and essentially it's an anthology series where you have 3 tangentially related but ultimately separate adventures in one little book. Kind of like in Pathfinder First Edition, they had things like gosh, what was the name of the one we really liked, James? The one where you went to the town in Isger, and the really good one. Remember, I played my Vanara Gunslinger, and I was just a menace the entire time.
Yeah, and I played that really cursed Hydrokineticist. Yeah.
Oh, no, Grandma was so good.
Yeah, it was cursed. That was cursed.
There's it's an adventure in that vein where it's like 3 small adventures that are kind of connected, but they can be played separately. And honestly, I think Starfinder has really needed content like this personally, and the art that we have been shown for it is really good. Dustin, why don't you put some of the art up on the screen here? We've seen like it just has a whole bunch of different species. Put the cover on first, because I am going to blow the pun wide open, because I realized it during our pre-show chat that literally the cover features a detective who is a bull man and doing like detective stuff, and the bull people in Starfinder, their races are called the Noirs. So it's literally a noir detective.
I didn't realize that. That's great.
It's so good. It's so good. The pun game is fantastic. Like, and I love it. Like I don't know who commissioned this cover, but I'm assuming it's either Jenny Jaberski or Jason Keeley. And both of those are like people who adore puns, and whichever one of you did it, or whatever developer actually did it, and I'm wrong and it's not one of the 2 of them, thank you. That pun was needed. I needed that pun right here, not on this bone, but like underneath it in my heart. Oh no, it's Cripwalker 76. That's a hard pun. I I object. I think that pun is so bad that it slams into the crust of pundom and burrows through like a meteor straight to the core of the planet of pundom and explodes the planet. And now there's no metric by which to judge this pun, making it the only thing that there is. There is no other alternative. This is the pun of puns, like it or not.
It gets better. He's hacking into an eye.
Yes.
So it's a private eye.
Yes, I know.
Oh.
It's so good. It's so good. It literally, the more you look at that cover, you're just like, the jokes. The jokes are so fantastic. And I like how Doom Guy is apparently just randomly in this.
You're right.
That blind guy's not Doom Guy. That's
He's
Duke Nukem.
Oh, you're right. It is Duke Nukem. Right. That's what I meant.
God, how do you not know Duke?
God, I'm sorry. I am an uncultured swine when it comes to shooting video games. You're right. It is Duke Nukem. Just for those of you listening, there's this guy who looks like a secret agent pressed up against the door, and he's got like the Duke Nukem buzz cut haircut, and he's wearing like shades, and he's got the same boxy face. It's so good.
It's got the flat top and everything. Yeah,
it's so good. I want to point out that like there will never be a cover for any book that is as good as this cover. I'm sorry, all Pathfinder and Starfinder developers, y'all have peaked. It's this cover.
I mean, it's good, but I mean, one of the other listings we have here also just has a really great cover.
Oh, which one? Which one do you want to talk about? That was a beautiful transition. I'm very proud of you, James.
Oh, you're welcome. The Skyward Stars, Skyward
my
Stars
God.
hardcover compendium.
It's so good. That one looks like someone was like, you know what? I want a space opera anime, and I'm gonna go da 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 Venture Captain Jin Yu, world's in danger. Let's go fight them. I'm so excited for this book. This book is like great.
It does remind me of just like a Civil War meme.
Yeah.
I don't watch Marvel movies, but it reminds me of one of those memes.
Captain America versus evil fascist lobster Iron Man.
Yeah, so all the Dead Sun or the Skyward Star scenarios from the first 2 seasons of Starfinder Society are getting a compendium into their own hardcover adventure path. And that, I mean, I'm excited about that because one of the hardest parts about those scenarios is they were great, and B, they came out of level order. So the character that you played the first scenario with couldn't play later lower level scenarios. So you could never have a single character meet all the twists and turns as it goes. And by putting it back into a compendium and giving you some in-between filler, it should be super exciting and fun. The final fight of it is really climactic and good. It's the reason why I really enjoy Starfinder Society. It's a really satisfying arc. So
it's so good. Yeah, no, it's so good. And I think what's really nice too is like season 2 is definitely like a continuation of the Society story, but like season 1 was very self-contained. Like, you know, I feel like you don't need to really play season 2 to appreciate how good season 1 was. So if you want to take a bunch of scrappy Pathfinders and bring them straight on through this adventure, like go for it. And honestly, I'm gonna say something that may be controversial to some, but I know won't be controversial to James. Pathfinder in general Paizo's writing in general has really struggled to make like long form society-based adventures feel really rewarding. I'm talking specifically about Shattered Star. And like taking this content and this fantastic storyline and just putting it in an adventure path and pushing it out the door and saying, hey fam, read and enjoy this. Like I'm wondering like how many people are going to read this book and realize like, oh, Society actually has some like really good stories. Maybe I want to try this. Like this could like honestly be a great thing in general for getting people interested in trying their content. Because I've at least met a couple fans who are like, oh, but I have a gaming group. Why would I play Society? And it's like, the reason is the lore.
Right.
The lore is really good.
Right.
Yeah, and
so,
it's like serialization. It's like keeping up with a new TV show, like that you all are watching and playing together. Like that's the fun in it.
So now let me ask you. You could answer with any content from any of Paizo's 3 games, but if this is a new thing that they're willing to do and they're willing to make adventure compilations of society story arcs. Which story arc should be next?
I almost want to see a Rise of the Rune Lords that takes all 3 Rune Lords books and then ditches a lot of the filler to make it a 1-20. But I think that's asking too much.
Okay. Well, I feel like Return of the Rune Lords really plays with the idea that there were 2 adventuring groups before you as like a plot point.
Yeah, I guess.
So like I'm gonna say I don't agree with that one. But you're valid anyway. What do you think, James?
I have 2 answers. One wouldn't be a whole adventure path, but it would be a module series.
Yeah.
And that would be the Gabrani trilogy and the Starfinder.
Oh, that's a really good call. Yeah. That one's really good.
Yeah, it can end up the first one that can really set the tone for the rest of your adventures throughout that whole area. The second one would be, and this one's a bit harder to do because you do have to fill in some gaps, but the Grandmaster Torch storyline. From the original,
yeah, Society. That'd be good.
That's a really good one too.
Yeah, that one would basically be like Vinland Saga sort of.
Yeah,
I think what would make that one so hard is like you would have to basically build in like a ton of downtime because like that storyline starts in like season 2 of Pathfinder Society, and literally the final first edition scenario wraps up and resolves that story. But it could be so good. Yeah. Like, wow.
There are whole seasons where you hear nothing about Grandmaster Torch. I mean, when I started, he was like a legend to me because there's like no scenarios that had him featured in it for like season 5 or 6, which was I came in around season 5, like end of 4, beginning of 5.
Yeah, because they brought him back in like 6 or 7 when they started doing the Scarab Sages stuff.
Yeah.
Do you remember like we did the 2-parter where you crown one of the new sages, or the 3-parter, the really awesome one that ends with mythic powers, the one where that guy was running from us and I had the power to let me throw. Yeah, where I could throw the daggers like a mile and he couldn't do anything about it.
Sucks.
But yeah, so like that one ends with like I don't think it's that one, but like it eventually is revealed that like Grandmaster Torch gets one of the scarabs. So like man, you could really do like you just cherry pick the right scenarios and the right things. You could really build a good story. Like it doesn't have to be all Grandmaster Torch, but like you're kind of like following his trail and finding. I think that's a good one.
Yeah, you'd end up with like Saddle Lodge connections as well.
My pick, if I had to pick, would be the Datch scenarios of season 2.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like
how to make your players hate you as a GM.
Okay,
if you can just stop rumbling this rat that keeps one-upping me.
Listen though, like I don't think any Paizo adventure has managed to successfully do a long-term villain where you know who the villain is the entire time and don't just get to juice them. Like right away, like because usually it's like, here's my villain, look at my villain, and just they just killed that villain.
They are strong.
Yeah, so I think that Datch is probably one of the strongest like season villains that any society system has ever had, just because they put her in your face and you couldn't do anything about it. You're like, no, get this rat away.
Stop making me look stupid. I'm a cool person. I have the power to blow up suns.
Yeah. Do you see my chronicle sheets? I went to a star system and harnessed a super weapon, and she's like throwing her apple at you and explodes. It's so good. Yeah, I think that would be really good, and this book sort of like opens up those doors. Now I've seen some like mumblings on the like Reddits and like whatnot, saying that there may have been a soft hint or maybe even a hard confirm that there is going to be player content in this book.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, there should be.
There are some there was some equipment that was, I don't want to say debuted in some of those adventure paths, or not adventure paths, those scenarios, but there was stuff that was unique to them. So it wouldn't surprise me if it was pulled from there. And then they added some of the stuff later in later books.
Yeah, definitely. So fingers crossed. I know one thing that I've seen that there are people that are clamoring for is apparently like almost all of the the major like populated species in the Skyward Stars systems have playable statistics except for like one of them now. And so I know some people are hoping that that'll get like filled out and finished, but we'll see what ends up happening.
Oh yeah, wait, are Easelguns part of that? Jeez, I forget who's in that system now.
Easel Goons are in the Scoured Stars system. They got printed in book 3, I think.
I thought maybe even 2. They were. Yeah. Oh yeah, they were pretty early. They're great.
Stretchy Gombi Centaur.
Yeah, just Gombi Centaur.
Yeah, like I think that like is like that and Port of Calls. Those are the two really big ones that everybody's talking about. But there are other products that got announced too that we can discuss. One that I'm really excited of is we can talk about the deck of endless NPCs.
Yes.
So, for those of you who don't know, it is described as working similar to the face cards that Pathfinder 2nd edition just recently got. The Pathfinder deck of endless NPCs. I'm sorry. I'm sure that marketing is going to hate me, and I'm sorry if that one right there that Dustin is showing on the screen. I'm sorry that if marketing for Paizo hates me, but I will never not say that you missed an opportunity to call it the deck of many faces. Like, I'm sorry. It's the deck of many faces. It's right there. It's right there. It was the low-hanging fruit, and we would have loved you for it. But that's okay. This content looks really good. I got to watch Dustin do a stream on Infinites, where he put the deck out and like built a bunch of weird, wacky characters. And unlike that deck, which is like mostly just the core races, you get like triple copies and then a bunch of other things. This deck apparently has cards for like not every species, but like a lot of them. Like a ton of them. Like the art that we've seen so far, which I believe Dustin is flashing up on the screen right now, all shows several different ones. There's a Gabrani on there, there is a Kizar, there's a Patra, there is a Dralic, there is a guy with a triangle shaped head, and I don't know what that is. I'm sorry. And then obviously the man, the myth, the legend, maybe a woman, I'm not sure, but it's a Bantrid. It's there on the cover. 110 cards, yeah. And if there's any like system that could get a sequel to this very quickly, it's Starfinder. Starfinder has over 120 playable species now. Like, there's a lot.
Yeah. It's a shame one of them are the dromedaries, but I'll get over it.
Yeah. I'm excited for this. I hope that when it comes out, maybe our good friends at Paizo will like send us a copy or 3, and like we'll play with the deck on screen and be like, hey, yeah, we have many faces and we have 3 of them, so we have like 3 times infinity faces here.
I do wonder, what is the easiest, dumbest stat block you can make for a Starfinder NPC? Like, if you just needed something that you're like, well, I'm going to make this NPC, and my players are dumb, they're probably just going to kill this man. How do I give him rules? Like, have you ever either played Numenera?
Yeah.
Yeah, Numenera stat blocks for NPCs were like 4 sentences.
I love it.
Yeah, it's amazing. As a GM, that system is great. As a player, that system is great. It's dumb, and it knows it's dumb, and it doesn't try not to be dumb. But just like, you're probably not going to get too much like long term unless you plan it out with these. And if you're just using these real quick, like, what's the quickest, sloppiest way that you could get a character, like not even referencing any charts, just like this. This is now more a thought exercise of just. What can you slide in that, like, behind that deck, just to go, these people are this level, this is roughly what they're going to kill?
AC, KAC, random skill bonuses.
Yeah.
Just like hit points, AC.
At that point, just roll dice and be like, I don't know, the soldier rolled a 10, he should hit.
Yeah, plus 10, 1d4 plus something.
Even the Alien Archive has like a lot of like things that count as special abilities, but they're like bonus hit points, better attack, better damage. And it's like, okay. I mean, like, I'm sure you could do it. Like, it wouldn't be hard, but we all know that the real thing you want to do is you want to slap solar attunement on that baby and be like, I'm now a Solarian. Do you doubt that I, as the GM, could not find a Solarian chicken for you to fight? I found one. Please, Stellar Boar.
Oh no! It's a chicken McFife instead of a chicken McNugget.
It's so good.
Yeah, that's the opposite direction that I'm going towards. Not like this is memorable. It's like, oh god, I need somebody for them to talk to and potentially kill.
Well, so but
I want 5 minutes on this max.
Here's the problem. I've taken your concept and I've minimized it so much by transforming it into a Solarian chicken that I bounced off of the surface and like made it into the most memorable character ever. Because that's how player minds work. You know what I mean? Like you try to make things not important and they get attached to it.
Yeah.
Chicken McFife.
Yeah. I guess that's right.
Yes. So we also, rolling back to the new product announcements, we also know, of course, that Dead Sons is getting a hardcover compilation, and we received some murmurings that like the Dead Sons compilation might not be the last one, which I think would be very exciting. I personally think that there's a very good chance that this is going to be the best way forward for Paizo games in general, because like having the monthly issues is fun. But anybody who's ever been to PaizoCon or GenCon can tell you that if you go into like their little archive of floppy books to buy new books in, they always have a ton of books 5 and 6, a moderate number of books 3 and 4, and usually 0 copies of 1 and 2, and they can't reprint them because you can't reprint a 1 and 2 because then you'd be expected to reprint the other ones. And if you reprint the other ones, they're not going to sell, or they sell much slower. So like making the people who are buying book 1 also buy book 6. That's the play the game right there.
You could still dole it out into those parts if you wanted to do those digitally.
Right, and they do have some print on demand of some really harder to find books popping up on Pathfinder and Starfinder Infinite, but the printing quality is not quite the same, and when you have them all on a shelf together, it's noticeable.
Definitely, I agree completely. Now we also know that at GenCon this year, the new Starfinder Society season began, Year of Redemption's Rise. We actually had Jessica Catalan and Linda Zayas Palmer on, gosh, was it like 3 months ago now? Like, it feels like it was 3 months ago.
Yeah, it's 3 months, yeah.
Yeah, we had them on to discuss, and they gave us like a special feature where we talk a lot about it. So all of those scenarios are live now. If the idea of playing the Scoured Stars excites you and you want to see more modern plots, go play Year of Redemption's Rise. The Starfinder Society has done some real bad stuff, or at least specific members of the Starfinder Society has, and now they need to convince the galaxy that they aren't actually just a paramilitary organization. Very sad, but very happy too. We had I think 4 new scenarios opened, right? It was 4.
Yeah, well, we have 3 on screen right now.
Yeah, we have Year of Redemption's Rise. It's the opening by Alex Spedell, and then Jason Keeley wrote the first test. And then we have For the Factions by Kate Baker. So that's already an all-star lineup. Like that, if you're a Starfinder fan and you pay attention to names, you probably know all 3 of those, and like that's how you start a new season. You put the heavy hitters, and you punch down all the people and be like, yeah, players, you play this game, I punched you down, what are you going to do about it?
Exactly.
Yes. But like, good.
Oh, I was gonna say, we also have Road to Reconciliation by Shay Snow, and Fugue of this Traitor by Allison Saiby, and Fragment of the Fourth by Isis Woskanowski. Sorry if I mispronounced that name. And Boom Block Gambit by Leslie Cap.
Gosh, the name Boom Block Gambit makes me want to play that. I can just imagine like there being something called the Boom Block, and James going, yo, but have you got the boom? You got the boom.
Did you bring the boom?
Right. Did you bring that? See, right there. The shenanigans at our table write themselves. All you have to do is imagine James say, you give a silly word to James and then just let the magic happen.
Just let it run into the ground. I was looking, sorry, just briefly.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I feel like season 3 is just something where it happens. I don't know what it is of Pathfinder Society 2nd edition, but in the first edition of Starfinder, in season 3, there's In Service to Lore, which is, it sounds like it's a lot like what the content of In Service to Factions would be.
Yeah. Well, I think they wanted to use the new one to introduce the minor factions, because like Manyfold Host and the other ones have been in the game before as like boons, but they've never like had center stage.
Yeah. This is the second scenario in season 3, while the other one was the Starfinder Society one is 3. But it's like season 3 is always the, hey, let's catch everybody up on maybe you should know who these people are.
Yeah, maybe you should. Also, I haven't read that scenario yet, but I request 1 strawberry machine cake, please.
Well, what's really fun about Boom Block Gambit is it takes place in the Adamantine Bastille, the prison run by the Starfinder Society that's being closed down gradually. And the author also released a Pathfinder Infinite product called the Adamantine Bastille, which is a supplement for the Starfinder Society product that includes a bunch of handouts and extra information, etc., etc. 40 pages of extra information about this location.
I'd like to rewind that, though. Why does the Starfinder Society have a prison?
That's why they're closing it.
I mean, you need it. You see the bad people you fight when you're a Starfinder. You think regular jail can hold them? You think you could just give Magneto to the regular cops?
I mean, they gave Magneto to the Special Forces in X-Men 2, and he literally had Mystique drug a guard with extra like iron, and then Magneto ripped all the iron out of the man's body, and he broke out using the man's blood. Like this is a PG-13 X-Men movie, by the way. That movie's intense.
Exactly. That's why the Starfinder Society needs a prison.
I'm gonna go ahead and say they don't. I feel like that should be the government, and if the Starfinder Society can't handle them, like the sun is right there.
Man, you sound like somebody who needs to be put in prison for a while.
Oh no! Oh no!
You're sounding awfully imprisonable right now.
Meep. So, before I get sentenced to prison for the crime of criticizing unjust imprisonments, let's take a look at the new Gale Force 9 and Paizo collaboration product that was announced called Pirates of Skydock.
Yeah,
let's put that on screen and take a look at it.
All right, so Pirates of Skydock is a heist game. It's a board game for, I want to say, 2 to 4 players. It takes about an hour, maybe a little bit more than an hour to complete. It's a collaborative heist game, so you get a team together, you try to steal something, and then you try to get out of it.
Yeah, I'm glad that you looked it up because I had no idea what that was. That box doesn't tell me anything about what the game is, other than there will be an explosion, and if there's not enough explosions, then this product is going to make me sad.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a like deck kind of game where you use cards to determine what happens next. I'm not sure of all the rules, but I was able to find some more images of it, and it looks fun. Looks like something you could burn an hour doing between other tables firing or something like that.
Yeah.
Low stakes, kind of like an extended chase scene if it was a game. Yeah, but that sounds demeaning because people don't like chase scenes, but a lot of board games are basically chase scenes with extra rules.
Fair.
And they're fun.
Fair.
I'm excited. I think that this is a good lineup of products. There's a lot of interesting things here. Obviously, they also talked about pretty much every product that we reviewed in our PaizoCon episode 2 episodes ago. So if you want to hear more about things like Redshift Rally or To Deny the Dragon is what it's called, right?
Yeah.
Defy the Dragon. To defy the Dragon or Drift Hackers or Drift Crashers. You can check out that episode because they really didn't tell us a whole lot of stuff that's new about it. Just kind of like, hey, remember, we've got these other products coming. Also coming is Interstellar Species, which is on November whatever it comes out in November, where we get 25 deep dives on specific player species, which will be fun. It also has the evolutionist class, so if you've ever not wanted to be you anymore and you've wanted to ascend your feeble mortal coil, the evolutionist is probably for you.
God, I hope it's not the shifter.
Did you look at the playtest doc?
I didn't get to look over it as much as I would have liked.
So in Leo's Fly Free or Paizo game that we're playing, we're technically playing, but like we've had a lot of things go on last month. But in that game, Vanessa is actually playing the evolutionist class. It is not the shifter. It is not the shifter at all, which is good. She is playing. Yes. She's basically playing the cybernetic option where like your body parts change into different types of weapons, and so her arm opens up into like a cannon. It's really cool.
Yeah, it feels a lot like an expanded, like those corruptions from Horror Adventures.
It does.
But a whole class.
It's kind of like what I said in the Pathfinder episode that I was in last week with Vanessa. Spoiler alert. It kind of feels like deviant ability feats, but like as a class. So like I think it looks very cool. I think it's going to be a well-liked class, especially after we had John Compton on that one time, and he just spent 45 minutes making James and my eyes go starry. Like,
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of fun things and fun concepts. It's just whenever I hear about changing yourself, I immediately just go back to the shifter and all the hours I spent going, yeah, this would work, and then immediately dropping it because something else would do it better.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, hey, level 3 and 4, the shifter is really good.
Oh, great.
Tiger shifter at level 3?
I mean, paper clothes are great until you get out from under your porch.
I just want to point out that I don't know why you're talking about tigers, because everybody knows that the shifter only has one form, and it's ooze form.
Oh man, the best 4-level prestige class ever.
Oh my god. I think we had somebody almost play that in an adventure path, and we had to sit them down and put them on a board and said, you can't see anything. You don't know where anything is. You can't communicate. Are you having fun, Helen Keller?
Oh no.
They're like, oh man, this game would be hard if I was like this.
Oh.
This game would be hard if I was just an ooze.
Yeah, we had a group of 5 of them in Savannah called the Goo Claw. It was really fun. We were all multi-class. Kitsune.
Yeah, right you are.
Yeah, and this is just a transition into one more. Well, I could save that for shout-outs later, right? Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Really don't.
Burying the lead, I see.
I don't know. This is scary. So yeah, we have all that good stuff that's coming out, and for the two of you, what would you say that is the thing you're most excited about based on what we talked about today?
All right. Well, I have kind of like 3 things. Is it okay for 3 things?
That's fine.
Isn't that like over half of them, the things we talked about today?
Yeah. Listen, I like what I like. The Skyward Sword Compendium is a very good way to get that information and playable scenarios in a way that you can actually do it online with one character, which is really fun. Pirates of Skydock, I like doing Pathfinder adjacent things with my wife. My wife is not a role-playing game player. She is terrible at them. That's fine. I don't need her to do that. But a board game that's roughly an hour length, that's something I can get her to buy into. Also, the third thing is that I just realized there's a typo on the page for Pirates of Skydock. They misspelled recognized, and that's hilarious to me. So I want to see that go to release with that typo.
Lava being asked, anything announced for the accessories line? That's like the flip mats and stuff, right?
Deck of endless NPCs.
Yeah, the deck.
Yeah, that's the only one I've heard of. Like I heard at GenCon that Paizo is discontinuing the pawns line completely. So like, and I think that was their major accessory that they were doing, because WizKids handles all of the little plastic dudes. So honestly, like, flip mats keep coming, but flip mats usually don't get a spotlight. They just kind of happen and they show up on your doorstep and you go, woo, a flip mat, hooray, just like that. So yeah, I would say it's the Deck of Endless NPCs is the major new accessories line expansion. But aside from that, everything is focused on either their adventures or their new hardcovers, which are really exciting. But speaking of things that are exciting, Dustin, your turn. You have to say which one
I'm
you're most
excited about the Deck of Endless NPCs, not just for all the other reasons mentioned, including an up to potential new art for species that don't have enough art, but also I'm curious how compatible it is with the existing Pathfinder one, and if I can mix and match them possibly in a considerably more open-ended, sillier game. But it would be really fun to see how many of these could be used with the Pathfinder deck, or vice versa. Probably more vice versa, especially if we went to Gallerian World.
Now, for me, I would say Ports of Call is probably the thing that I am the most excited about, with Scoured Stars as a close second. The reason I'm very excited about Ports of Call is that one thing we haven't said on the show before this point, but it was announced in a later stream, like not the keynotes address, but like one of the deep dives, that Ports of Call is actually going to have within it a 2-page wide map of like that you can remove from the book, sort of like the Absalom map in the Absalom book, but it's going to have a 2-page map that is going to show a map of the entire Starfinder galaxy, including 20 systems.
Wow.
Apparently this is true. Cross your fingers, because if it's wrong, I blame Eric Mona. It's his fault. Don't come after me. He's the publisher.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah. So obviously, like that's something that we've needed for a very long time. Like, what does the galaxy look like? I would love to know what the name of the black hole in the center of the Starfinder galaxy is, because if it functions using any type of physics that are remotely similar to ours, there should be a supermassive black hole at the middle that everything spins around, and it should have a name. And I'm really hoping that someone named it after the Devourer, and and that's just what it is.
Of course.
Like, that'd be great. Just there you go.
Yeah.
Freebie. Go ahead and edit all those maps that you've already printed.
I just realized I didn't think I thought about like supermassive black holes being named, and they do get named, but they're really boring names.
Yeah. That's why we need a really good name. Like, this is a fantasy game, and we can break the real world tradition of just giving black holes like letters and numbers, and we can say that is ours she blows, the devourer of all lost souls. Tread near her only if you dare. And that's actually what her name is. It's like a paragraph of text. There you go. So
I love it.
What types of references would you like to see on a Gallerian World? We already know that Abigail Thrune is apparently a Disney princess, but a Disney villain, like Cruella de Vil or the evil Wicked Queen. Like, what would you look for?
I want Drendel Drang, but I'm not going to get Drendel Drang.
Oh my god!
Drendel Drang's head in a jar?
Oh my gosh! What if they make Lucas's silly art canon? They put Drendel Drang's head in a jar. Just like Justin said.
So good.
I want it. I want. See, I'm thinking that there needs to be something Gallerian World related that's marketable. So I'm thinking they do, like a version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but they're sewer dragons from Absalom. I also am a very big fan of the idea that, like, you know how like in the real world where we have deities that like from ancient religions where like we'll use them in stories like Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson series. I love the idea that like maybe there's some like adaptation of like Gallerian gods that aren't really worshipped anymore, and they made a Percy Jackson of it, and those gods are like, I still exist, I'm right here.
Percy Jackson and the Imperium Lords.
Yeah, right. Percy Jackson and the Imperium Lords. You could have like, instead of being Poseidon, Percy Jackson is like a child of Gazra, because like Gazra is directly related to Galarian's weather. So if any deity was going to vanish with Gallerian, it would be Gazra, in my opinion. So like, I would love that. What I want is like, I obviously want to see like creative stuff that uses their IP, but I also want to see creative stuff that uses their IP to make jokes out of real world things.
Right.
Like you know what I want? You know what I really want? You know how like in Disney World, the entire park in the Magic Kingdom is centered around the Disney Castle? Do that, but the Starstone Cathedral.
Yeah. Wow, I like that a lot.
It's so good. It's easy. You can do it. So good.
I'm hoping we get some anachronisms, some things that are just we know out of character are wrong. Like in the first AP, there was the Mask of the Mantis, and they said that like some Starfinders think maybe there's a connection between this weird assassin cult and the Shirin, because it looks a lot like a Shirin. Like if there was some Red Mantis Shirin walking around going like, we don't really know what our deity's about, but we're gonna make it up as we go along, that would be great.
Yeah, no, I would love that, and especially like because like anything could have happened during the gap. Like those gods could have literally died. They could have got sealed away. Like who knows? They could just not be accepting worshipers and not care. Like, and so now you have like all these Shirin that are like, is this our legacy? Are we from Galerian? Like, no, that's a praying mantis. We're more like a cicada. Like, I think. What's a cicada? I don't know.
Or like Unga Bunga elves.
Yeah.
Like, we live so far in the past, they're just like the caveman versions of SpongeBob. Just or like it's technology, only night, only nature.
And that's when you have to do an adventure where like the players are characters from Gallerian who come to the future, and they do the Squidward future meme.
You know how horrible it'd be to come from first edition Gallerian and just know that there's a planet of undead and they produce a lot of TV shows and are just like people?
Yeah. They're like, oh my god, Geb won.
It's like this place is terrible. It's obviously corrupt. This sucks.
You guys like, and you have it be a follower of Sarenrae, and they're like, you just tolerate this? You tolerate this? Why is Pharasma the only one doing anything about this? You believe that that ball of fire in the center of your solar system is the goddess of light and destruction of evil, and you let that exist within a couple within 1 light year of her. Yeah, just you could do some really funny like meta commentary on the system. I love it. Like, or have a cleric of Asmodeus come to the future. I am here from the past. My lord and savior Asmodeus must be doing very well for himself. Yes, I see. He must be the crown god, because Cheliax was already the most powerful nation in all the Inner Sea, and now they must be in charge of the entire universe. And it's like, Asmodeus is like, nobody talks about him. He's basically just like, oh yeah, he's a little bit more powerful than those other lords of hell. Like, what? This is impossible, preposterous.
Lava
Bring me my
Lava Bean in chat wants to know what happened to Razmir.
I think that he should have just died. Like,
Razmir finally saved up enough money for a bus ticket and went home.
You know, it'd be really funny if they talk about Razmir and Starfinder the way that like people today talk about Rasputin.
Oh yeah, that's the ticket. Yeah, dang it, nailed it in one.
They're like, yeah, this guy was really hard to kill, but it turned out he just drowned in a river really well. Like, he didn't come back from that. Can you imagine how mad that would make Jason Bulpin? You know, Jason, I know that you really love this character and he's like really important, and you based Oblivion Oath, major parts of it on him, and you wrote 3 adventures in first edition, and we really love and respect the work you did. But we drowned your character in the river Selin.
Oh my.
Yeah,
just the worst fishing trip ever.
The absolute worst fishing trip ever. But hey, your Starfinder doesn't have to be. Let's talk a little bit of shout outs about things people can have in order to make their Starfinder and or Pathfinder experience a little bit better. Dustin, I believe you said you had a shout out.
Yeah, I have 2.
What?
So
Impossible.
First, I know, right? So first, like I said earlier, there is a new Starfinder Infinite product out there called the Adamantine Bastille, written by Leslie Capp, who wrote Boom Block for Starfinder Society. And it's larger than the actual scenario at 40 pages, just to expand on this one place that you go in the scenario. So if you ever want to run this scenario and you have those kind of players who are always getting into shenanigans that you have to solve with I don't know, you could technically now run that scenario with a full map of this prison and everything from the guard shifts to what life in the prison is like. There's handouts you could use in the scenario that didn't come with the scenario. It just expands the scenario out so that your home game could take advantage of it and make it an entire location for a huge adventure if you wanted to. And I think that's really neat, because that's something that was one of the first things I thought of when I heard of Pathfinder Infinite was, can I just take all these unused notes I have for my scenario and publish them? Would people use them? So I really want to see how much traction this gets.
Very cool. What about you, James?
No.
That's fair. You don't even want to say I shout out to, I don't know, my wonderful wife because you love her?
No, she doesn't listen to this. She gets
That's
enough
fair.
of me. We're married. What do you mean?
That's fair. Then I'm going to shout out to, oh gosh, I don't even know who to shout out to anymore, because I was going to shout out to the Infinite bundles, but they just ended. If those of you haven't heard, we had some really great group of products on Pathfinder Infinite that came together. You could get like what, $300 worth of products for like $25, something crazy.
Yeah, exactly. You got the number just right.
Wow, I did it. It's like I paid attention and participated. So that's really cool, and I'm excited for that, but it's over, and that's sort of the end of that. And then a lot of the stuff I know are things that like you can't shout out to yet because they're not happening. So
Well,
I think then, go
the
ahead.
bundle's over, but there's now a sale going on Starfinder Infinite for upwards of 40% off everything, which includes a product that is technically on Pathfinder Infinite, but includes like 5 or 6 pages of conversions to Starfinder, which was my other shout out, Ooze Morph of Gallerian, which includes rules for Pathfinder 2,
I thought that
Pathfinder
book was
1,
called
and
Ooze Folk
Starfinder.
of Gallerian. Isn't it Ooze Folk, not
Ooze
Ooze
Folk of
Morph?
Gallerian. Yes, I misspoke.
Yeah, how could you, man? Really. Also in that sale, behind me on, if you're watching live, I have a picture of the cover of Starfarer Species Reforged, which is a product that I led and wrote and published through Everybody Games, and I had a lot of great Paizo freelancers and editors help me make it happen. If you cannot wait for Interstellar Species Reforged to add new information for your species, you can use this book to basically change Starfinder's mechanics for how races work into species, where you get talents and none of them have levels. You just take them and they're all like feats, and you can build yourself the perfect species that does whatever you want it to do for that species. And one of the things I really like that it has is universal heritages, where some of them are like normal things. Like if you want to be an Asmar as a Ijtikri, sure, be a holy squid, that's fine. But like there's also a lot of weird ones that I'm really excited about. Like one of them is Squishykin. If you just want to be a giant stuffed animal version of another species, like cool, go for it. Yeah, there's a lot of neat stuff in there. You should give it a try if you're interested. It is like literally 350 pages of content, and it will make you happy. I promise. And if it doesn't make you happy, you might need therapy.
You will take extra traits for all your feats from now on. It'll be great.
That's what Dustin says. Dustin says that the talents in there are so good that he doesn't want to take regular feats anymore, but not because they're OP, but because they let him throw like fox fireballs and stuff.
Yep, you just go weapon focus, spell focus, and all the rest of my feats are extra traits.
Listen, you just need the math, and then what? The problem is like once you get to a certain part in Starfinder, because like for whatever reason feats never get printed. If you're looking for a rules book to do big old book of feats and just call it big old book of feats. Starfinder, big old book of feats, because like we haven't gotten a serious dump of new feats since like character operations manual, maybe.
I feel like we got some more recently, but I don't remember what they are.
There very noticeably weren't any in Galactic Magic, which meant like there are no new feats for spellcasters, which means the only spellcaster feats in the game are spell penetration and spell focus.
No, there's definitely more. Hold on.
Nah, I'm right. I'm a right.
Why am I knowing him? He's right.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Spell feint. There's one more for you. Spell feint exists.
That's a good one too.
Yeah, it's a super good one. But we could definitely use some more of those. And if you are waiting and you want something, a feat to take, additional traits in that book is really good, because you can just be like, yo, give me that there trait. I want to have the ability to, throw fox fireballs, or I want the ability to clap back at people when they try to demoralize me. That one's my favorite. I love clap back and I love flex. Those are good.
I love making little rice balls or donuts that give you your stamina back.
Yeah, that one's good too. I'm actually just stalling for time so James can attempt to prove me wrong, because
you're by and large right, but Drift Crisis had 5 feats in it, 5. Yeah.
Were they good?
for certain things, they're specific.
Yeah, I think that exploration manual had like 4 or 5 feats, but
I think that's probably fair. But I'm gonna be real, like that the way the content is spread out in that book, it's not conductive for me to remember things.
Feats.
What? It had 16 feats?
Yeah.
No way. I don't believe you.
I don't know. That's what Nethys is telling me.
God.
I trust Nethys more than your memory, dog.
I also trust Nethys more than my memory. That's fair. Well, thanks for joining us on No Direction Beyond. If you want to see more of our content, please make sure to follow us on Discord. You can find our Discord link at nodirectionpodcast.com, and there is a big link on the right-hand side of the screen. You'll get a happy little thing to press, and then it'll download us right into your life, and you will not regret it, because we are the chillest, coolest, funnest, and overall most sane group of Starfinder and Pathfinder people this side of the galaxy, and maybe in this entire world line. Not sure. Don't quote me on that one. But in addition, if you want to follow us, we have a Twitter page or a Twitter handle where Who was in charge of that now? Is it Ryan? I don't even remember. It used to be Luis back in the day. Someone, the ghost of the ghost of Eridan probably runs it at this point. And that's at No Direction, which is nice and easy to follow. And we also have a Facebook page where you can, all those places are great places to get updates on the different shows that we're running and when they are going live, what type of content we're looking at. We do Geek Together, we do Prime, we have lots of fun. And I think we even do Essence 20 now, right? Ryan is in charge of Essence 20.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's lots of great content. We hope that you'll join us. And until next time, go beyond with No Direction.